I'm Rebecca. Welcome to Carnivore Wellness. On today's video, I'll be talking about being a moderator versus being an abstainer and what that means for you in your approach to a carnivore diet. All right, let's dive right in. A moderator is someone who is able to regulate their intake of food, and they can have things in moderation. An abstainer is someone who really needs to have hard and fast rules around what they can and cannot eat because they find a sense of powerlessness around certain foods. They can be carnivore foods. They could be, or your more standard, typical carb-based, sugary foods that they have trouble regulating. Either way, it's important to know how you respond in certain situations before you go into a carnivore diet so that you have a better idea of if you're a moderator or an abstainer. So let's start with these following statements. Think through these statements to yourself and see if you agree with them or disagree with them. I rarely overeat to the point of feeling too full and sluggish. I usually eat until I'm satiated, often leaving a few bites of food on the plate. I can enjoy a small amount of cheese, bacon, or heavy whipping cream without feeling the need for more. Decisions about what to eat and when are simple. I don't feel the need to rationalize my food choices. I can tell when I no longer enjoy the taste of food and stop eating immediately. Rules around what I should or should not eat make me feel anxious or irritated. If you answered yes to most of these statements, if you agreed with most of these statements, then you're likely a moderator. You are most likely able to handle, moderation in various aspects of your diet. Moderators are people who easily and readily regulate the use and consumption of various substances and or foods. They do not find that decisions around food cause stress, and they typically have a take it or leave it attitude towards food, especially those rich in carbs and sugar. Moderators can easily stick to appropriate portion sizes, stop eating when they're full, and don't tend to fixate on any one food as a crutch or coping mechanism. And they may find that they feel anxious at the thought of never being allowed to consume another food again. If you are a moderator, you may be most comfortable with a gentle approach to carnivore, a crowding out approach to carnivore. That's important for you to know, especially as you consider transitioning into a carnivore diet. Now, what about these statements? Consider these and see if you agree with these. I stress about what and when to eat often. I feel out of control around certain types of food. There are some food items I cannot have in my house, or I will eat them in large portions or too frequently. Clear rules help me reach my desired outcomes. I spend a significant amount of energy rationalizing my food choices to either refuse or indulge. If you answered yes to most of these statements, then you are likely an abstainer. I fall into this category. Abstainers are people who struggle to regulate the use of and consumption of various substances and or foods. Abstainers may find that they experience decision fatigue surrounding food choices, and their emotions are more readily tied to various food items. They tend to have a one is never enough attitude towards food, especially those rich in carbs and sugar. Abstainers may have other areas of life where they struggle to regulate and use certain things like alcohol, shopping, video gaming, gambling, etc. Abstainers find it easier to have hard and fast rules or guidelines that make it very clear about what they should or shouldn't eat. If you're an abstainer, you may be most successful with a hardcore carnivore approach to adopting a carnivore diet. That's important to know. If you are a moderator, you probably can transition into carnivore while still including other foods as you taper down those non-carnivore foods in the bulk of your meals. However, if you are an abstainer and you really struggle to feel a sense of control around food, if you feel that powerlessness around food, if you constantly are giving into cravings or emotional eating, then you may do best leaning into some of the negative side effects of a hardcore carnivore diet approach, and instead just lean in, know that you're going to be a little uncomfortable at times over the course of the next 10 days to 2 weeks, and go ahead and get over that hump of transitioning into a carnivore diet by just going all in from day one. That is what I did when I started carnivore, because I know myself and I came from a place of not being able to abstain. I was on a ketogenic diet prior to starting a carnivore diet. And even though I had taken out all of the, processed sugars and I was low carb, I still was really struggling with cravings and still binging. I would basically save all of my allotted carbs for the day for that one chocolate bar of 95% dark chocolate at the end of the day. Or if I would open a bag of macadamia nuts, a keto-friendly food, I would end up eating through the whole thing. I had no sense of control around certain foods. And so it wasn't until I went all in on carnivore with a hardcore carnivore approach that I quickly saw a resolution of those cravings and a freedom from cravings and that emotional eating, and instead was able to focus on healing. That did come with some uncomfortable digestive symptoms, especially, essentially loose stool for upwards of 2 to 3 weeks. And even a little bit longer for me because I came from a background of poor digestive health. However, most people, that frequency and urgency to go eliminate and clear their bowels, that usually resolves in about 2 to 3 weeks for most people. The other setback that carnivores can experience when they, transition very quickly with a more hardcore carnivore diet approach, they tend to experience some fatigue, potentially some headaches, irritability, low mood, usually around days 3 to 5. 3, 4 is really the worst of it. And that's mostly because your electrolyte balance is shifting as your body eliminates all the excess water that is associated and retained alongside carbs. So as your body uses up those glucose stores and that stored sugar, you start to experience that water loss, and with it, the electrolyte imbalance can be an issue. A simple solution is to supplement with electrolytes for a few days while you transition through that period of kind of feeling that malaise as you go through, kind of helping your body find a new balance with electrolytes as you adapt. So I hope you found this information helpful. It's always, always important to check in with yourself and see if you're a moderator or an abstainer, because that can really help you determine what's best for you as you continue. And I will throw this in there very quickly. For those of us already on a carnivore diet, it's still important to know if you can moderate or not, because there are some foods in carnivore that are still technically carnivore and they're appropriate. However, you may have trouble moderating them. For me, foods like this are dairy. Dairy is very hard for me to moderate. I find that if I bring in dairy, even for a bit of time, I quickly am adding dairy to every meal and in higher amounts and snacking more, and that's simply not in line with my goals. I know I don't feel my best when I consume large amounts of dairy, and unfortunately for me, I don't seem to be able to just include small amounts of dairy because I am an abstainer. Also, another one that will get me and trip me up every time is heavy whipping cream. The taste, the texture, the nice, cool smoothness of whipped up heavy whipping cream can be a wonderful little treat on a carnivore diet. However, I can't moderate treats, even if they're carnivore foods. So that's another one where I will find myself over consuming. Even hyper palatable foods like bacon. If I am not mindful in my eating, I can easily put away an entire pack of bacon following the consumption of a full ribeye steak and eggs. Like, it doesn't matter if I'm hungry or not, I can find a way to continue to eat that bacon because I struggle to moderate. So it's important to know these things about yourself and to know how they affect you. Even if you're only eating carnivore foods, it's still something worth being mindful of. Are you a moderator or are you an abstainer? I'm really curious to know, so if you would, comment in the comments down below, where do you find yourself falling on this scale? How did you respond to some of those statements or questions I asked earlier, as far as helping you determine if you're a moderator or abstainer? If you have found this helpful, please like and subscribe. Also, if you would like more information like this, I have an entire e-course available for free as soon as you sign up for the Carnivore Wellness Community. that I have created over on the Mighty Networks platform. There's a link in the description box down below. I would love to have you there. Lots of free resources, both in that e-course and just available to the wider community. There's also it's a great place to connect with fellow carnivores and support and encouragement as we navigate these journeys, sharing our wins and victories, and also addressing some of the struggles and setbacks and challenges that we can face while we navigate, especially the transition period in a carnivore-based way of eating. It's the best way to support our habits is by identifying with a group of people that also share a like-minded view and approach to lifestyle and eating. So I'd love to see you over there in that Carnivore Wellness platform. You're welcome to check that out. Again, link in the description box below. Thank you so much for your time today. I hope you have enjoyed this and found this helpful. I will see you again in an upcoming video.